Thank you.
Hi, Pooja.
Stage is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon. How is everybody having a good time or tired already? All right. You've heard several speeches, discussions today about technology, digital businesses, variety of things. And it's been wonderful. Today, I'm going to spend a few minutes to talk about SMEs, small and medium businesses, and how the digital era, digital technologies, and digitization is playing a very, very crucial role helping them. There is this question. People ask, is digitization causing a divide, or is it providing a dividend for small and medium businesses? And that's the topic that I'm going to address today. Let's take a moment and see the landscape. Have a look on this pretty page here, left-hand side and right-hand side. I've taken a few horizontals against which I'm evaluating how digitization has changed, how much has gone in, what is the status change today. On top, you see teledensity, connectivity has doubled. This is only in the last 10 years. It's not in a very long period of time. Mobile penetration is increased by about a third. But the important thing there, ladies and gentlemen, from 2G, 3G, we have gone to 4G and will soon reach 5G. That is going from text messages to live streaming. Today, we watch Netflix easily. You can watch Netflix on your phone. 10 years ago, it was simply text messages and BlackBerry Messenger. Huge, huge difference. Internet connectivity has increased from little 5% to 40%. These are huge, huge growth numbers in the last decade. And when you look downstairs, healthcare, education, capital, there has been billions and billions of dollars of investment, and the economy today is alive and well in these digital areas. $37 billion will be the technology, digital-based healthcare market in India in a couple of years. This is huge. And in lending, it's going to approach $200 billion. These are very large numbers. This is nothing to sit there and say, has it happened? Is it coming? It is here. It is with us. And so what does it mean for small and medium businesses? Let's take a quick snapshot of where small and medium businesses are in the country today. Some 30% of our GDP are small and medium businesses already. This is a meaningful number. You take developed countries like America and Germany, the number is much higher. In America is over 50%. Germany is approaching 60%. China is already 60%. As a country develops, we'll have a greater percentage coming from small and medium businesses that is inclusive economic growth, and it's much, much more sustainable. 40% of our country's jobs come from small businesses, and roughly half of all the production, industrial production, is also from small businesses. But only about a third of them today are on using digital technologies, digital platforms, etc., and that number is going to dramatically change. On the right side, you see the change that is going to happen. Yes, urban penetration of connectivity, technology, internet penetration is huge. It's 80%, and that will reach 100%. But the number on top of it is an interesting one. In rural areas, the penetration is going to double, literally double in the next 6 years, and 3/4 of all new people coming on the internet today in the world, not in the world, in India, are going to be from tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 towns in rural areas. This is huge, ladies and gentlemen. So what does that mean? Half of all the GDP growth that we will generate, half of all the incremental growth we will generate in the next 6 years will come from small and medium businesses and startups. This is huge. Sit up and please pay attention to it. This is important for large company players that are sitting here. Your small company suppliers, partners, etc. are going to grow. They're going to grow huge. Invest in them, partner with them, rely on them. For those small businesses, be optimistic, put in your effort. You are going to see a huge tailwind come, because as technology moves in and people in these rural areas, per capita incomes increase, your business is going to grow phenomenally. We hear, and you must have heard in this town especially, Make in India a lot. what is Make in India? I'm going to challenge everyone here to think about something slightly different than Make in India, right? We're still making it in India. But Make in India implies production, creating jobs, working hard, being proud of what we produce in our country and consume it. This is huge. Totally spot on. Totally spot on. Creates jobs, lifts per capita incomes. It's great. But at the same time, we have a unique opportunity today with digitization to think in India. All right? We can sit here and produce businesses in Aurangabad that can help clients and customers in Antwerp or Alaska with equal ease. You don't need to leave at all. You don't need a visa, ladies and gentlemen. You don't need an H-1B visa to sell to Alaska sitting in Aurangabad. That is the power of digitization, and today large companies have it, and in the very near future, medium, small companies will have it more and more and more. A small business in a tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 town will have the same access as a business in Bandra, South Bombay, South Delhi, anywhere else. This is the huge dividend that we are going to enjoy in the coming decade thanks to digitization. Some challenges faced by small businesses. Yes, there are challenges. Nothing is a straight line. There are market challenges, talent challenges, infrastructure challenges, regulatory challenges, multiple challenges, technology challenges as well. But the important thing is digitization has produced several players in the industry. You can see all of them in the bottom, and you know all these names. Many of these are household names. They provide a lot of support for addressing a lot of these challenges. This is huge, okay? This is not a government doing it. This is not a one specific company doing it. This is an ecosystem doing it. This is gigantic. And that is what I'm trying to show here. These new businesses and platforms themselves, as they grow, this is a positive externality situation. Every new business that enters the digital ecosystem amplifies the opportunity for every other business in the ecosystem, and that's a multiplying effect. This is huge. I'm not going to talk about every single company there. I'm sure you're probably using a lot of them and you know it. So let me give you a couple of examples. A small business, I'll give you an example about where I got some champagne glasses as a wedding gift. I wanted to give a memorable wedding gift for my brother for his wedding, not just some money or some usual things we all give a gift. And I went online and I was checking it, and I came up with a design and asked 2 artists to come up with a bid. They gave me a bid in some lakhs of rupees for crystal and some gold engraving and all that. And I went online and I checked it, and I saw a beautiful one, and they agreed to do what I wanted to do. And I ordered it, and it came, voila, in a couple of weeks. The cost was about 10% of what these artists locally had in San Francisco and New York, 2 artists who had agreed to do it. But it came in the post, and it was about 90% less money, and it was every bit as good. It shocked me. It completely shocked us, right? And then the box was open, I was checking it, and my dad said, "What did you order from Bulgaria?" I said, "What?" I looked at the from address, and that box had come from some village in Bulgaria, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't know. I just opened it. That is the power of digitization, and that was on Etsy that I ordered. And we, Bennett Coleman, have invested in a company in India which is similar to Etsy as well. And there are companies in India that are going to do the same thing for us. This is the power of small artists today who can get on. They have the same equal power as any large company, thanks to all these companies, Amazon, Flipkart, Zomato, Pharmacy, NetMeds, companies like that. They can give power to a small pharmacy. They can enter the market seamlessly very fast. This is going to be really, really large. So, this is a very important thing that I want to say here. We hear about democracy, freedom, inclusion, sustainability, variety of things. You build a road, you build a railway, you do airports, you connect the country, you bring people together, you build infrastructure, economy grows, per capita incomes grow. It's great. It's what we want to do. But yet, let me say this. Digitization today that we are seeing, and we'll see more and more, is singly, only that one thing is going to be one of the biggest blessings ever, ever for us to make an inclusive democracy in this country for the future. I'm really psyched about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. And I ask that you please remain on stage with us for a few moments longer. We'd love for you to partake in our next panel discussion. And Sam has made his case, and convincingly. But for those of you that might be still on the fence as to whether digitization, in fact, creates a digital divide for SMEs, or if they're on the cusp of reaping a rich digital dividend, we bring you a range of perspectives next. To navigate this panel discussion, please join me in welcoming Sunanda Jayaseelan, senior anchor and editor of The Leaders of Tomorrow on ET Now, and joining her are distinguished panelists who include Sam Subramaniam, of course, and joining him, we've got Puneet Gupta, co-founder of Kaleidofin, Pratap Singh Nathani, founder of Loan Express, Neerja Bhatia, vice president of the Indian subcontinent for Etihad Airways. With that, we ask that you please join us on stage. And Sunanda, while we wait on our next guest, let's not have any further delays. Take it away.
Thank you so much for that, Sumit and Pooja. We're talking about the power of digital, but we're dealing with real-world problems, lots of traffic outside. One of our panelists is stuck, but hopefully will be able to join us in the next couple of minutes. But we're going to start this panel on a very optimistic note, and those are some of the big headline figures that we've seen in your presentation, Sam. Data has emerged as the most precious commodity of the 21st century, and democratic access to high-speed, low-cost data really is changing the way things are done. We're talking about the next $1 trillion economy. The numbers are looking fantastic. What's going to convert that to effectiveness on the ground?
I hear this question all the time. And I saw the same, I probably fielded a similar question, Sunanda, in America maybe 15, 20 years ago. And I feel like this is sometime around 2001, 2003, thereabouts, WebVan. I don't know if you guys remember those companies that came up and went down. What's going to happen? What is going to bring these groceries online? What is going to bring these things online? Who is going to supply? You know what? All of you will do it. It will happen. We are doing it all day. We are doing it all along. It is not that we have to dramatically change the way we do everything today. We will do the same thing. We will produce the same thing. When a restaurant goes on Swiggy, they're not changing their kitchen. They're doing the same thing. They're preparing nice food, but except they are getting that person over there in South Delhi as a customer who was never eating the food from that restaurant. So the honest answer is we just need to do what we do. 2 words. They asked me at another panel, and I said this, 2 words. Just be laser focused on what you do. If you're making insurance, you just make insurance and you make it really, really well. Digital is going to get that product to somebody 1,000 kilometers away in a jiffy. You don't have to do anything more.
So specialization, essentially, you're saying, is going to be the key. Fantastic. Neerja, you have addressed a market, and you've really opened up markets that didn't have access to travel previously. And you've done that thanks to the power, really, of technology and digital. Do you think that more and more of these case studies and stories are going to come up as we're seeing more access to low-cost data, and these markets are then going to become easier to access?
So thank you for your question. So as some of you may already know, Etihad Airways is just a 15-year-old airline. We are a baby compared to the other legacy mega airlines. So I think, like my colleague here said, I think the key focus, I think for anybody, is people. And every step of our life, those 15 years, we have embraced technology. We have looked at innovative ways of doing business. It's, again, what an airline basically does is carry a passenger from point A to point B. That every airline could do. Everybody has an economy seat, a business seat, or a first-class seat. What differentiates you from the others is your innovative thinking, creative ideas, and of course, technology. So what we probably, as I said, every step we've had innovation and we've added new things. For example, I mean, we have something, now recently we have something like manage my booking. We know that, it's basically the rules of customer engagement are also changing. I mean, the way we used to deal with our customers or conduct business, it's tremendously and completely changed, I would say. So we've put in something like that. For SMEs such as you, we have a fantastic product called Business Connect, wherein it is linked to the Etihad Guest program, and you can, get a lot of advantage through miles and through obviously concessions when you're traveling abroad to do your business. So again, something to also look at your own people, your own on staff. We've given technology. Everybody has, an iPad, and you don't need to be in the office. We have something like a work from home policy. Our people don't have to come to the office. They can straight away visit the customer or do their business on their laptop or iPad or their iPhone. So again, it all depends on the company. How much can you embrace technology, and if you really want to go ahead, that's the future.
And you definitely have embraced technology.
Indeed, absolutely.
Wholeheartedly. So while both Sam and Nirja are talking about technology and the use of technology with a bird's eye view perhaps, the one person on this panel who's seen the massive or the most impact really coming out of the way technology has transformed industry is entrepreneurs like yourself. Puneet, my question to you is, do you think that perhaps the solutions would have come regardless whether we had technology which is moving at the pace it has or not because the market is demanding it?
So, very, very good question. I would say that we've always continue to innovate. So whether there was technology or there was no technology, some answers would have come. It would just have been extremely hard, and it would exclude a lot of customers. So we at Kaleidofin deal with customers who are low-income households, informal sector customers who live in deep rural India or live in urban slums. The cost to serve becomes a big impediment. The ability to be able to create unique solutions for customers today looks extremely easy with technology. The ability to reach out to customers who otherwise were extremely hard to reach look extremely easy with technology. The challenge of doing this without technology was that beyond a certain level, it was just impossible to serve this customer segment. Or if you were to serve them, the cost would be extremely high. I think for us, the leap that has happened through technology is that today every single individual in this country looks like an individual who we could serve, and we could serve profitably.
Okay, fair enough. This is a question that I was asking one of the previous panels that we had over the course of the day, and that is as far as really the opportunities that exist in the offline world and the marriage between the offline and the online world. India is a country that clearly has a lot of challenges which are in the offline world, whether it's traffic, whether it is accessing the last mile, whether it is just infrastructure and availability really of technology in the last mile. Do you think perhaps we are focusing too much on what is happening as far as the online world is concerned? Are we moving at a pace that is perhaps not sustainable to the solutions that we have in India? Should we be looking at more offline solutions as a country and not trying to emulate maybe whether it's Israel or what's happening in Silicon Valley?
I can go in for this one. The way we've looked at businesses is that there is never a clear choice between an offline and online world. So what we have done is we built a model which works on offline and online. The way you reach out to low-income households today, with mobile penetration still increasing, a lot of our customers don't have smartphones. A lot of our customers are women customers. Almost 94% of our customers are women. Even if there's a mobile phone at the household, she doesn't necessarily have control over the mobile phone. So what it has necessitated us to do is to find a last mile connect where there is a touch point that she's able to reach out to. But once she reaches out to the touch point, we've been able to now build everything else on a technology backbone. Through processes, through a lot of the work that we do, what we have made sure is that there is consistency of service, there's consistency of financial advice that we offer to customers, there's a consistency in terms of the user experience at all points of time on account of this bridge between the technology world as well as the offline world.
So it is possible, you're saying, and you're a clear example of that. How about you? You're also working very closely with people who are physically doing your bookings, for instance. So there is definitely a bridge between the offline and the online.
Yeah, so I think there is, like you said, a lot of offline is moving online. That's the future. But till today, people still go and get the tickets issued through a travel agent. they still, because they feel more comfortable physically getting all the visas done at the...
Is that only in India?
Huh?
Is that only in India?
Sorry?
Is that only in India?
Mostly in India, yes. I mean, people are, my colleagues across the network are pretty surprised that, you know, still, I mean, you go to the travel agent, you ask him, you know, to book your, or do all your visas, book your car, hotel. So sometimes these things are done differently, sometimes by one travel agent, but all done offline. I still have some customers in Kerala who will come for a reconfirmation and we don't have an office, you know. So they go to their old office and keep knocking on the door and say they need a confirmation. So I think, like you said, awareness is so important, and I mean, people have to start making an effort from moving from offline to online. And I think they both go, you know, simultaneously at this point in time. While we do need technology, we do need better roads, we do need better railways, and of course, so many better airlines, all airlines making profit. We definitely need that.
And you don't think perhaps the technology could help India then solve those
Absolutely.
challenges and questions?
That's
Okay.
the future. I think everybody accepts that.
Okay. The jury is also out on whether technology is best suited and the benefits really of businesses that are in the tech space are most seen in the B2B space, not so much the B2C space. Sam, is that something that I can put you on the spot on and say, for entrepreneurs who are in the B2C space, are they seeing as much benefit of being purely digital and in the tech space?
100%. Technology, like I was mentioning, is perhaps the biggest blessing. There's huge benefits in the B2B space. There's absolutely no doubt about it. If you really look at the progression, it started in the B2B space, where businesses want to make their processes faster, cheaper, quicker, safer, and they did it. That continues to happen. It'll still happen. But on the B2C space is where you will see the biggest benefit for the country and the biggest growth metrics washing up in terms of GDP growth, per capita income growth, and so forth. Sticking with Puneet's point that he mentioned, robo-advisory, providing financial advice. There will be some companies that will come that will make the ability of the financial advisor to provide the advice better. I was a financial advisor for many years in my career, and I had to do all the work myself before I go meet a client and give advice. That will be amplified, the work will be decreased by tools that are online, digital. But more importantly, there will be yet other set of companies which will be entirely on the digital platform. They will not have a financial advisor experience at all. They don't need it. The financial advisor that helps you in South Delhi or you in Indore or you in Aurangabad or me in Bombay can sit in New Zealand or in China. And as long as they have an opinion, they can go on the platform and provide that advice or stocks or bonds or whatever, and we can choose. So the benefit of this for the B2C side, as long as there is proper regulation, control, and an ability to price it and deliver it and data is secure, okay, that's a lot. But if we can get those things done, the benefits are manifold, and you're able to impact billions of people with one small change in one central place. And that's how it becomes a huge growth.
Okay, Neerja, I thought I saw you agreeing with that. Were you nodding? Do you agree?
Sorry,
Do you agree with the fact that the biggest benefits that we're seeing are being felt in the B2B rather than the B2C? On what side of the argument are you?
Well, I personally think digital technology is being used mostly B2C. But yes, B2B is where the future is. And I think everybody needs to work towards it. I mean, I personally think that's how it should be.
All right, so two differing views then in terms of where B2B and B2C are perhaps headed for businesses. But let me try and get consensus on skilling. And skilling as jobs are becoming the jobs of the future. And that's where your skill sets that are being required for employees are moving. Your views in terms of, are you seeing enough people who are coming in with the requisite skill sets as you're innovating? Where are you finding these people who understand these technologies of the future?
Yeah, so for us, the kind of skill set that is required, and we are an entity which offers financial advice to customers and then delivers on that advice. It requires people to be able to understand finance in a very, very deep manner. And the way we've kind of conceptualized this entire thing is that it's just going to be to completely not scale if we were to rely on individual skill set to do this. And I think that's an important place where technology comes into picture. today what we're able to do is we're able to build plans on the app. There's a robo-advisory algorithm that works at the back end. But what it now allows is for individuals to be trained on interpreting the output and then explaining it to customers. That's far more scalable. It's far more easy to do. And it's basically things like this which have actually enabled us to be able to really upskill people without having to invest in the core skill set of robo-advisory or creating a financial plan. I think that's a big thing that we found in technology. The second important piece that we continue to feel when it comes to the entire skilling piece is that there are a lot of changes which happen very, very, very quickly. As we design better and better solutions for customer, we are able to bring in more and more complex financial products into the mix. And today, technology allows me to be able to introduce a new, more complicated solution without having to retrain everybody. And I think that itself is also a next big thing that we see.
Okay, and the training also, I would presume, is happening online when you're training for these future technologies.
So Nanda, ours is slightly different. So we have a separate team that specializes in digital sales, and then there's a separate team that it does field sales. So we have both in our organization, and definitely, as I said, soft skill trainings is a must, is a mandatory thing for all our salespeople, and definitely, I think, and also every day that we enhance and add new tools, we have to keep our own team, absolutely updated. So there are a lot of online trainings, and I can tell you, your assessment is really bad if you don't complete those online trainings. So it's an ongoing process, I would say, and this is absolutely a necessity.
So that is as far as skilling is concerned, but I very quickly want to use the next couple of minutes to do a masterclass of sorts when it comes to branding and marketing your business using technology. Most crucial for entrepreneurs, for everyone who's here in this audience and for everyone who's going to watch this later. Very quickly, to each of you on this panel, one or two things that you think businesses should be doing and one or two things that you're seeing them do online using technology, digital, etc., that you wish they knew about and wouldn't do, and whether it is talking about the brand, whether it's marketing themselves online.
I'll stick to the same thing that I mentioned earlier. It's quite simple. As far as I have seen, by way of companies leverage the digital infrastructure and grow, and there are many case studies. We are doing all this in India today. China was a few years before us. United States and Europe, few years further before that. All those businesses that stuck to what their product was, what their service was, know who their customer is, and stick to what they do and do it extremely well, always win. The moment we come in and say, there is this technology, there is this digitization, I'm going to make this sambar slightly differently, you're not going to win. You have to still make the right sambar the way you do. You can get the sambar to a different person who's not coming to your restaurant now. Okay, that is what technology can do. But having said that, when you take things like robo-advisory, if my market is now Bombay, Chennai, India, whatever, and then I come up with financial models that are interesting for people in Dubai to use, I can distribute those using technology. But then I need to understand the profile of that customer, profile of that market, and the products available in that market and the regulations, and make different products. But the answer is not different products every time. The answer is understand which place you're going, who your customer is. Of course, technology is there. Technology is there for everybody. That is the blessing and the negative, because the truth is, it's not just there for us, it's there for everybody. The moment we think it's only ours, it'll hurt us.
Okay, my mouth started watering at the mention of sambar, so thank you very much for that. The same question to you, Pratap. Puneet, the same question to you.
Yeah. So when it comes to really looking out at creating a little bit of awareness around what you're trying to do, in our situation, we reach a customer segment which is really hard to reach directly through a digital medium. So what we are always focusing on is who are going to be our partners, who are going to be our associates, who are going to reach out to customers. I would say that my own feeling around this is that SMEs don't really invest a lot in branding. They don't invest adequately in creating awareness about what they do, but it's extremely important. Embracing digital mediums today has helped us quite dramatically, both in acquiring B2B partners who can then offer our services to customers, but also in attracting talent. As a startup, as a small organization, you're competing against very large organizations. You're competing with the best of the entities who have a huge ability to be able to pay. But today we are uniquely positioned to be able to talk about our vision about India, where we're able to communicate what we expect a low-income, informal sector customer to do. And we've been very fortunate to build a team of very high caliber people who've come because they were extremely passionate about what we were trying to do. So I would say that investment there is super critical. It may not necessarily be a lot of money that you spend, but we have to think about that as an important avenue and an important situation to consider as we are thinking about the rollout of an organization.
Okay, Neerja, maybe one or two things to do and not to do online.
So I think, as I said, you may have the best of technology, a best of product, best of technology, and a best of, online presence. But if you don't have a good brand positioning and marketing, I think it's no good. So I think the two key things is knowing your customer and reaching out to that target audience with the perfect marketing, I would say gimmick, as they may call it, is the best thing that can help you succeed.
Okay, let's talk about...
I just want, you buy what you see. Simply, like, it's a one-letter word, one sentence, what is you buy what you see.
Fair enough. We're running out of time this panel. I very quickly, though, have to talk about the role of the government. Perhaps no other sector or space sees as much benefit from the government as the SME space. And the government has come out with many specific regulations for the SME space. Maybe one or two things that this panel would like to see differently, something more that you would like to see from the government for the SME space, even as they're talking about, say, Digital India, they're talking about the second wave of Digital India, focusing on specific sectors, funding, etc.
I think from our perspective, we can see a lot of initiatives coming in from the government, but I think what we probably need to do is more learning from the countries that are doing, they are doing so well on the digital space. How can we really engage with those small, how do our SMEs engage with SMEs, for example, for China? And how can they integrate together and learn from each other? I think this is some area where the government should really put in a lot of focus and effort.
For us, it has been a very fortunate situation. I think over the last 1 year, there was a lot of push on startups that has actually helped us quite dramatically. But I would still add, if I were to think about my wish list, India needs a lot more regulatory sandboxes. Today, for us to think about a robo-advisory platform for the masses, there are very large number of regulations around it. There are very prescriptive rules, and to be able to kind of work around new dimensions, I think that's more complicated. There are, again, things that we see around the world. For example, countries like UK have made banking to be an open API, where any fintech can actually connect to that. It adds a lot of innovation to customers. Some of those things we're not necessarily seeing as much in the Indian context. So I would just say that creating an environment around some regulatory freedom, something which actually allows you to experiment and innovate, would be of a big help to all entrepreneurs such as us.
Okay. I very quickly want to talk about funding with you, Sam. And even as we're looking at more and more funding coming into the country, the criticism usually is that it's going largely towards tech, started tech-funded, tech-oriented startups and entrepreneurs. Do you think that criticism is fair? Do you think it's right? And how do we broad-base the ecosystem as far as funding is concerned?
There is a lot of money that is going to tech companies. This is the truth. Billions of dollars. I've read somewhere that the number invested by private equity and venture capital is north of $33 billion last year. It's a lot of money. And a huge chunk of that goes to tech or tech-enabled businesses. But we cannot forget one thing. The total amount of capital formation and capital invested in the country last year is well north of $500 billion. The largest amount of capital invested in our country is our government and all of you, our businesses, okay? It is not some foreign capital that is coming in and saving us. Yes, foreign capital, FDI, may come into certain companies. They choose certain sectors during certain periods for growth and alpha. All that's wonderful. But there's huge amount of capital being invested in our businesses. And I think capital is not a problem. If somebody has a good idea, somebody has a good business, we just need to articulate it in a good, clear way, and there is always capital available. And there are multiple sources, government and private, where people can go and share their ideas and source capital.
Okay, as I'm winding down this panel, I definitely have to talk about data and protection of data, given the amount of data that's been thrown up thanks to the innovation that we're seeing. For SMEs here in the audience today, who are perhaps working very closely on the cloud, are working with multiple platforms, one or two things that they should be aware of when it comes to their data protection. And also perhaps how data in their hands is also their biggest weapon.
I can talk about this. In terms of when we look at creating a financial plan for the customer, which ultimately leads to a situation where a customer can borrow, customer can access capital, the customer can access debt funds, I would say that having access to their own data is extremely important. I think India has made rapid strides in creating a policy where account aggregators will start to give control back to India. I think the regulation looks very forward-looking in terms of the power that it creates in individuals. It actually creates your transaction history as an asset that you can leverage. So I think that is extremely important. Today, with a lot of changes, one can use digital histories to be able to start to access financial services. And the number of digital lenders who are coming up in this country actually points to that particular direction. To all SMEs out there, I would say that each one of us is also generating a lot of data. For example, I have a lot of data about my customers, and the onus is on each one of us to make sure that we're protecting data. We are holding client privacy as extremely important, and this is something which otherwise starts to create a lot of mistrust. If we need to make sure that regulation is not starting to regulate this extremely heavily, the onus is on all of us to make sure that we treat data in a manner that we would treat our own personal data as.
Sure. All right, so a couple of things really that SMEs and entrepreneurs should definitely be watching for, but that's all the time we have today, unfortunately, but thank you, Nirja, Puneet, Sam, for your time here on this panel. Thank you.
Thank you.